Tsunami，我跟着你飞，哎，风和日丽，随着心，哈，来 hip to the hip hop you don't stop， 听我这首攻略，做个职业玩家，冷的冬夜，让我当你面花研究习。
Welcome back to Behind the Dance. I'm your host, Neil Yuzon, aka Noi. I got a special guest today. It's International Women's Month, so I'm trying to feature as many women dancers as I can. So I have my friend Amy, aka Tsunami. Tsunami, what dance crews do you represent?
I got a few.
Go ahead, name them off.
Here we go. Circle of Fire is first and foremost.
Yeah.
That's the longest and most legendary, I would say.
Dope.
And then SoulShifters, Terra Tusk, which is an all-women, all-style crew.
Sick.
And also Sour Patch.
Sick.
Yeah.
How did you get down with Circle of Fire? Because that's like, for me as an up-and-coming b-boy, was like one of my like first visual like experiences of beat breaking. Was watching them on Alpha Fame tapes.
Yeah.
So.
Well, actually, I got down with them before Circle of Fire actually started.
Dang.
We go way back. How long is this interview? Actually, a majority of the COF crew was here in the Bay in the early 90s.
Dope.
And, long story short, I first met them, I think, in like 92, maybe 93. And we all were Threat of Physics, TOP. That was our crew.
Threat or thread?
Threat of Physics.
Threat of Physics.
Yeah, TOP. And it was Seth, Gabi, Vid.
Oh, dang.
And
I didn't know Vid was down.
Bob the Balance.
Okay, Bob was in the Bay?
Yeah.
Damn, that's some history I did not know.
These guys are all Hayward kids, and
dang,
and so,
I'm from Hayward, but I went to school in Union City.
Yeah. So, so we would go to parties, we'd go to raves, we'd go to clubs, battles, everything we could do. And it was really dope because we all were really getting into capoeira. Bob and I, we both knew tap. We were all just super well versed in many different styles. Like Gabi was like super freestyle, like hip hop vibe.
Yeah.
All these guys were just all over the place. And we were so hungry to just train all the time and dance all the time. Like we would just drive to LA out of nowhere just to go to a party and come back. And so the mid to the late 90s, that was the crew. And then eventually some of them started moving back to Seattle where they linked up and met or connected with Orb and Free and Todd and those guys. At that point, 97 is when they really started to create Circle of Fire, when that was born. With Cody the Girl, actually, at that time. So I was still here in the Bay.
Yeah.
And, it was a sensitive subject that they were over there, doing their thing over there, and I was over here, but it actually, in hindsight over all these years, like, it was kind of the way it needed to go down, and we were always, family since day one. Our philosophies were always the same. Our intentions within the dance and within the, the mission of never limiting ourselves and being in just one box, whether it was a b-boy, a b-girl, a house dancer, all these terms, a lot of these, like, especially house dancers.
So you guys were just a dance crew.
People would be like, oh, what kind of dance do you do? And we would just be like, we'd freestyle, we dance, like we didn't ever want to limit us. And, I know that Circle of Fire's, history was love-hate for a long time with what they were doing, within the b-boy world. It was a huge thing. But they, to this day.
In the b-boy world during that time, it was like either you were breaking or you were doing something else, and they didn't like it.
People, a lot of the more traditional folks didn't really like that. But
and now it's like it's so different, especially after that like period of time where the 2000s era with like Freak Show and the circus acts. After that, it just became it's everything.
Yeah.
That's tight. So you're originally from Hayward?
No, I'm actually originally from San Jose.
Okay.
Born and raised San Jose. Did some time in Gilroy.
Only thing I know about Gilroy is the outlets and the garlic festival.
Yeah, well, I was there before they even had the outlets.
Oh, you way back.
Yeah,
OG.
yeah. Yeah, I was born and raised in San Jose, and you know, I met the crew basically through mutual
Parties.
friends and from parties, and so I was the only one that would drive to all these parties.
Oh, dang.
So I would mob up to Hayward, swoop them up, and then we would go to San Francisco, you know, like the Richmond Civic Center, like all these, you know, Pittsburgh, like we would go
Wherever
the
there was
parties
music,
were,
yeah.
we would go, you know, and then like I said, to LA or wherever. So you know, it was just, I had a big Cutlass Supreme Oldsmobile, and I would just pack those fools, and then I had a Bronco too, and I would just pack them in and be like, let's go.
That's tough.
So, yeah. But,
So
that
how
was,
did you get into dance? Like, what was your first exposure, and what started your passion for it? Like, how did you get?
So I've been dancing, I did the math today, 41 years. I started when I was 3.
Okay.
You know, the usual ballet, tap, and jazz. But in my earlier years, my tween years and my teen years,
Yeah.
I was hardcore classical ballet dancer. I was competing national champion for Ballet Point, lyrical jazz.
Dang.
You know, I was Miss Cal State,
Okay.
1992.
You have any pictures of that?
I do.
Maybe we can share that for the
Yeah,
video.
for sure. I got footage too.
Sick.
So, but you know, so I was just, you know, so ingrained into this classical world, you know, and this was, you know, the late 80s,
Yeah.
where, you know, New Jack Swing,
Start
you know,
coming
like
out,
all these like party dances were super big, and like it was such a new world to me, and I loved that. But the dance studio at that time was really a safe haven for me.
Okay.
And like, I know you got other questions that might answer some of that
No,
stuff,
you good.
but
Keep
you
going.
know, like with the stuff that I had going down in my home,
Mm-hmm.
wasn't really great. It was pretty messed up, and so I found a lot of solace and retreat in the dance world, or in the dance space. And so, you know, I would go and train after school every day for 4 hours, and it was just competition, drill, you know. And so it really wasn't until I was probably 15 or 16 where I was kind of at a breaking point of where I was like, all right, I'm about to audition for a professional ballet company, or, you know, ABT, you know, I'm ready to go in, prima status, you know, like, but then I was like, but I just want to be a teenager, and I just want to dance and have fun, you know? And so I started like venturing out to hip hop parties, and, you know, like Digital Underground was my first concert in some cutty ass little bar in Salinas, like 16 and over, you know, like just like crazy stuff, you know? And I just started realizing there was so much more freedom in that
Type
movement.
of dance, yeah.
And so I was really torn. But eventually, you know, I ended up making this decision that I was going to go all into the freestyle world, and I was able to still, I through many different things, I was actually able to still find that same like safety or like peace
just through,
in
like,
the
movement.
dance, just through the movement. And whether it was, you know, contained and you know, told where to go, how to do it, what to do, you know, everything had to be perfect versus just bugging out and getting raw, you know.
So
like
how was
being
that
raw.
that transition from, you know, studio dance live to freestyle dance live?
It was really hard.
I'm sure.
It was really hard because
I mean, that's like
it's weird because I knew, because I would see dancers that didn't have classical training, like just street dancers or just you know, or urban
something,
dancers,
something off the
or
top. They were just
from
made
the top,
up,
you know, just naturally gifted, just raw dancers. And then I would see like other like trained dancers, and how awkward they looked, and I was like, yo, I don't want to be that awkward ballerina in the circle, you know? And so, you know, it really wasn't until I went to like one of my first like massive raves, and it was where I've told the story a gazillion times, but it's like where I first saw like a
first
real cipher of just dancers just going off doing floor work, flips, tricks, this and that, and it was just like so wild. And this homie of mine, still to this day, he just grabbed my hand and he pulled me. He's like, "Come dance," and I was like, "Oh no," you know. And he pulled me in, and all I knew what to do was tap. So I just, and I'm tapping, and I was just like, oh God, I'm so awkward. So it was like that tipping point, that person pulling me in, I was hooked.
Yeah.
Like that.
I know the feeling.
I was instantly like, I couldn't get enough. I was going out like
it's like the first time you step in the circle is like the first time you step into a whole new world, right?
A whole new world.
Yeah.
Whole new world. And so like I just like was so hungry for it, and I was constantly going out, I was constantly practicing, I was meeting more dancers, and we were just connecting through that. And like I just felt like it was a really painful time as well, because my mentor and my ballet teacher, who had
basically
raised me since I think I was probably 7, and had created this champion, and like put me together basically. Like when I told her that I wasn't coming back and I had made this conscious decision, like it's crazy.
I'm sure it hurt her too.
Like she was so devastated and like so angry at me, but didn't hear me. She wasn't hearing me. And like to this day, like I still like replay that scenario. I'm like, yo, I was like 17. Like, how are you gonna say the things you did? It was pretty hardcore. But so from that impact of that person being like so disappointed or so upset with me because she felt like I was throwing it away, it was kind of something that I told myself even at that age. I was just like, I'm taking everything I know and have learned from her and from this world, and I'm putting it into this freestyle dance. And I'm going to make it just as good and, love it just as much, if not more.
Yeah.
And so I didn't see it as a waste. I saw it, it was like, oh shit, this is the next step. This is the next level.
Yeah.
This is what I want to do with it,
That's tight.
So I was just using that as my tool. So to this day, all my teaching principles and my methods, it all roots back to that one teacher.
That's dope.
And so like, who knows if she appreciates that or not? I don't know, but
at least like, you know yourself. At least that you're paying homage
tried to pay homage to her and what she did for me, and what it's done for me. To keep me going.
So do you also apply those principles like outside of dance?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That was one thing. That was one thing I learned too. Was like I was like, oh, the things that I do for breaking, like, I should be able to apply this to other things too.
Absolutely.
And that's one thing I also hope for other dancers is to be able to find that, like, because we all have a really hard work ethic. Yeah. But it's like, if we can apply that to other things, we can be so much better. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's dope. That's a really dope story. I didn't know that you came from a classical background. Yeah, I would have known.
and also artistic roller skating. I did both at the same time. Like,
what is artistic roller skating?
It's basically just like the ice skating in the Olympics.
Okay, but on roller skates.
Quads.
Okay.
Yeah, so like my mom was a national champ, and then as soon as I could walk, I had roller skates on my feet. So I was competing also with the dance. I was also competing all the way through high school.
Been athletic for a really long time. Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah,
that's dope.
So. And that was the other thing too. Like when I stopped the ballet training, I was still skating actually, and I put everything that I also knew from that into the skating as well, and was able to win titles and travel to Germany.
But as soon as you cut that classical training,
it was like
everything
all in
freestyle.
Like, let's go! I'm going to the club.
So were you going to clubs as a 16-year-old?
Oh yeah, I was.
Oh dang!
Yo, I was sneaking in. I was sneaking out of the house to sneak into the clubs. I was, and then when I was like 18, like the crew, they were all younger. They were still. I went to their prom so we could go dance. And we would sneak into the clubs to go see our elders here in the Bay. At like Sound Factory, End Up, like DV8, which is Temple. Like all these like major clubs that were like the spot, the places to go for like dancers, house music, freestyle dancers, like all of that. Like we would sneaking in. Like my boy Big Bob, he's super tall, and I would shadow him, and he would like talk to the bouncer, and I would like swoop right in. Like we had a system.
The benefits of your height.
Yes, there's a few.
So after being classically trained, what was the first style of freestyle that you really got into?
I
know that like technically you weren't with your crew with Circle of Fire, there wasn't one particular style, but
Yeah.
like, what would you say is the one style that you gravitated to?
Well, initially it was like just the 90s
House party?
house party, New Jack, you know, like that type of vibe. That was kind of my real intro just into like, you know, like the
Freestyle dance,
Fly
yeah.
Girls were like my hugest like inspiration.
For sure.
You know, I'd run home just to watch MTV videos of all these girls dancing and just like Running Man or whatever, you know, like that was just like, I was just eating it up. But my ear kept gravitating towards like electronic or house music.
Nice.
And so when I did dive in, my friend took me to that first rave, and it was like techno and house, and it was just like, what is this? You know, like that's where it really took me in. But then I was still going to hip hop parties, like super San Jose underground hip hop parties in the 90s. Woo! I'm saying.
I don't know what that's like.
I'm saying. I wish we could go back right now.
Shoot,
But
I wish San Jose parties were still cracking now.
I know, yeah.
And then I don't get invited to do anything in San Jose these days.
Yeah, it's
just
so
B-boy
dead.
jams, but that's even scarce
So
now.
dead. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, there's some folks trying, for sure. True Soul's
But
trying.
there's not really many clubs out there.
Yeah, but it was really, it was house, but we didn't have the terminology of
Back then.
house dance or, you know, house dancer or this. We were
Just moving.
housers. Sometimes you get called a houser.
Okay.
You know, especially in San Jose, like South Bay, we would get called housers. You know, but we just kind of just said freestyle.
That's
you know,
tight.
and that, like I was saying before, like, you know, we started training capoeira. I was
And then
applying.
implementing that.
Yeah, implementing. We wanted to do like cool moves.
Yeah. That's all we want to do.
I just want to hit the floor and do cool moves and flips and, you know, and just like whatever I can come up with. Like, you know, practice at my family, my pops, like he used to call me and the crew the flippers. Because we would go to my grandmother's house and we would clear out the living room and pull off the couch, the sofa, you know, like the cushions.
So you have
put them on the
something-
floor and like practice backflips and boom, like crash, and the whole house would shake, and my pops would be like, "Amers, are the flippers here?" You know. So and to this day, he goes, "You still hang out with the flippers?" I'm
Oh,
like,
dang.
Yeah, we're still trying to flip.
So then from freestyle and then I guess tell them to now, what would you say is your style of dance?
Freestyle. Yeah. I mean, my music preference is house.
Okay.
But I still, you know, like to this day, like whether it's spins from skating or, you know, movement inspired from
Your training.
salsa, from whacking, from Vogue, from breaking, like whatever it is, you know, like just things over these last 3 decades.
Hey, you know, gentlemen never asked a woman's age.
But yeah, I mean, and also I think like over the years, because I did move and I lived in San Diego, I moved to New York, I lived in New York, I moved to LA, like just being in the different environments and the different cities and dancing with different people, like taking in different energies and different, you know, like just essence of their movements as well.
Let's go like Shang Tsung.
Your soul is mine.
You know, it's like just taking in all of those. I mean, I definitely, even to this day, catch myself dancing totally different when I'm around certain
dancers,
people.
yeah.
Yeah, like when I was in Paris, I was just doing stuff, you know, and then, you know, last weekend at that all-style battle, I don't even know what I was doing, you know, like it was just like all over the place. So, you know, it's I still to this day don't want to limit myself to being like, I'm this dancer, I'm not a whacker, I'm not, you know, like I don't feel like you need to do that, especially within the house community, because, you know, it is such an open.
And I mean, like a
community,
lot of our
like, movement.
A lot of freestyle movement comes from other styles anyway, so yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's been done before, generations before, and
That's tight.
You know, like.
So then, like throughout all of these times of like partying, dancing, competing, did you ever think about going as like a professional dancer?
I did early on.
Really?
And that was actually that. I mean, as a classical dancer, I made that conscious decision. I'm not going to do it because I just.
But that could have been a potential.
That would have potentially my whole path would have been totally different. I wouldn't be here today, sitting here. I don't know where I'd be. And I made that decision early on as well, as far as because even 15, 20 years ago, like the access and the everybody's teaching now, everybody's touring now, everybody's doing this. Like a lot of that stuff really wasn't like a thing yet, and so a lot of that didn't really cross my mind, like maybe being a backup dancer or something like that, but
not trying to be a fly girl.
I wish I could. But yeah, I realized that as a dancer, your body is a tool, and that tool ain't gonna work forever. So I was like, well, what am I gonna do when my body is limited and I can't do everything that
you've
is
been
either
doing,
that I can do or been doing or that's going to pay the bills. I needed to make a plan B. So that's really when I kind of set this path of kind of like two parallel passions. One more of the career 9-to-5 type of field, and then the dance, and
that was a self-conscious decision.
It was totally a self-conscious decision, like I was just like, I want to be able, for when I do hit 60s, 70s or whatever, that, I can still dance and do what I want, but have some sort of, like stable.
Something to live off of.
Something to live off, because I look at my own grandmother and, she's 84 years old, has nothing, and, like she didn't really plan it out so well, and so... I mean, she's crazy talented, like amazing painter,
dope.
It's crazy, but it's just like I see her struggle and I'm just like, I don't want to be that, So
to be like a struggling
I was
artist.
like, I'm going to do architecture and I'm going to do dance and I'm going to create this balance
between
the two. And the last 25 years, if not a little bit more now, it's worked out for me.
That's dope.
And I'm grateful for that.
How did you get into architecture? Like what was I mean, I know you were trying to make a conscious decision of like, I need to make a livelihood, but what made you go that path?
A friend's dad.
Oh, nice.
Kind of sat me down, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I'd always been into art. My mom was an artist.
So you also drew?
So yeah, I always drew. I designed costumes. I sewed. I like made my own costumes for skating and for dance. Dang. So I was always doing a lot of different things.
That's tight.
And I realized after I had gotten my AA for visual merchandising in San Francisco for like store window displays and mannequins and and I was just like, I don't really want to dress a mannequin for the rest of my life, but I liked the idea of creating the actual building,
designing something,
and like creating the environment. And then I realized actually that all my travels from my earlier years, I had photo albums, not just of like myself and people,
but a venue,
of buildings.
Oh.
Yeah, like little details, like who does that? Like.
I mean, I do that. I mean, like for street photography, that's different.
Well, but no, I wasn't into photography. I was just like, I like this building,
is cool.
And it never clicked. And then my friend's dad, my father and I were pretty estranged, and so my friend's father was like really loving and had taken me in and kind of was just like, I want to see your portfolio and what are you doing with yourself, because I was just a hot mess, just partying all the time, dancing. And he was just like, you need to go back to school and you need to get a degree, and kind of really checked me. And I was just kind of like, wow, I guess you're right, and so then the pieces kind of all fell together about, I actually do really love architecture, and I really do want to love to create spaces. I'm such a visual person. I can look at something and be like, that's 2 foot 3 inches, and this, and just like geek out over little things, You
got measurements just by visual?
Yeah, it's crazy. So
Amy's over here like, he lying. He's not 5'7". He's like 4'5".
He's like 4'5". But so it was kind of that like that extra push that was kind of like, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna do this.
That's tight.
And so I went through junior college and college and pushed through and put myself through and I I originally applied to a school in New York.
Nice.
And didn't get accepted, and so that's why I went to San Diego.
Okay, so you went to school for
architecture
in San Diego.
Yeah, and then after the first 2 years there, I didn't like the program, and I was like, I'm going to New York. And
so you eventually went to New York.
So I flew my ass out.
Okay.
And I went to the school and was like, I want to go here. And I showed them my more updated portfolio, and they were like,
so this is after applications been turned down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no, I had been rejected.
Okay.
Like I didn't have enough foreign
but
language.
you were like, forget it. I'm just gonna make it somehow.
Somehow I was like, I am going here, and I got in and I finished, and just being in New York and just the hybrid of the architecture, the art, the dance, the capoeira, like all that stuff. It was just such a really, really amazing time to grow. And that's, that was actually a really pivotal point of where kind of my own identity, where Circle of Fire was doing their own thing with, with the battles worldwide. Yeah. And it was kind of like, that's when Tsunami actually was
so this is after
given my
you
name
finished?
And like becoming my own person.
So after architecture school, you earned the name Tsunami. Who named you?
Well, it was during architecture school.
Oh, okay.
Actually, in San Diego, the Rock So Fresh fam.
Okay. San Diego, yeah, I know those guys.
Before they started Rock So Fresh, we were all down with a crew called Play School Society.
Play School Society.
Yeah,
okay.
And Play School with a K.
Dancers always got to make things different, right? Hip hop.
It's hip hop. And so, because at that time, that was like 99, 2000. It was super early in that era. And there was no like house clubs or house dancers or any, I was going to like this like one-off rave randomly like in Carlsbad or something to just dance.
Just to dance.
So like some of the homies from the architecture school, like her boyfriend was a b-boy, and so that's how I kind of like found a ring of folks to like session
while you were
with.
going to school.
Yeah,
Dang,
so it was
crazy.
like super dope to just get down, even though I'd be out there.
Still tapping,
trying to be a girl. I was like, but it was such a great learning time for me to take in the vocabulary of breaking, which was huge. And
so that's in that time you took in breaking.
Yeah. And so as I was getting ready to move to New York, as a farewell. It's like their whole crew. Everybody had their nameplate.
Name belts. I still got mine.
China, Optic, like so all these guys. They all.
So they gave you a name belt.
So as my farewell, they gifted me a nameplate.
That's tight.
And a name belt. And originally Tsunami started out as a joke. Like we were kind of like, because I was going by like the worst name ever. Like it was so whack.
You don't have to tell us.
I'm not gonna say it because this is so whack. He's like, you tell Kofo, and he's just like, oh god.
All good. You can ask Black what our original names were.
It was so bad. So like they were always joking like, we gotta give you a new name, we gotta hook you up, and a lot of them were actually Filipino in the crew. And so they always talk like their aunties and like their Taglish, joking around.
Little fob accent.
Yeah, and so they would always call me Ami, and and Ami, and I can't do it, but so they were joking. They're like, well, how about like origami? And they're just like, no, coming up with anything that's an Ami in it, And then they were like, what about Tsunami? Like, because you come in like a storm, and they got super hype, and we were laughing so hard, and we were just
it just stuck.
It somehow stuck. I didn't pick it.
That's tight.
So, because they're just like, yeah, dude, because you'd be chilling on the side of the circle just posted, and no one expects you to go out and do what you do, and I'm just like...
That's tight.
So, I went off to New York, and Tsunami I rocked that belt with so much pride. With a dress.
Anybody,
with jeans.
A dress.
I wear it with everything. Just like.
Do you still have the name belt?
Yes.
Sick.
Absolutely.
I think I still have mine. I know I have the Cloud9 one. I don't know if I have my NOI one though.
Really?
But I remember it's probably somewhere in my closet deep in. Man, we should bring that back. I'm down.
Let's do it.
Just a shirt tucked in, so everybody can see it.
Hella high waisted now.
That's tight.
So that's how I got the name, and that was 2001.
Okay.
When I got that name.
That's tight.
So yeah. And I think at one point, like maybe 04, some kid was like messing me on like MySpace or something. It was like, yo, that's my name. And I was like, really?
Dang, yeah.
You want to battle? And he was just like,
when
quiet.
the internet becomes, and then like the worlds connect, it's like, oh, what, you got my name?
Yeah, it's so funny. So,
that's
silly.
And so, even while you were going to school for architecture, you were still dancing. Like there was no separation.
No, that was the deal I made with myself. I was just like, I have these two things. I'm gonna stick to these things, and I'm not gonna let one get away. Or put one away for a while. And if I did, because of the amount of schoolwork or whatever, and if I didn't dance at least once a week, I would lose my mind.
Oh shit!
I would just be like tweaking, like
where's the music?
Because we had really dope, sessions on campus, like that we used to get down. Because I went to Pratt, New York, yeah. And
that's
so it was like I was going to b-boy jams, I was going to Shelter, I was going to all these like amazing house parties, So like
I can only imagine what that would have been like.
Yeah, I mean,
that had to have been like super sick to just live in New York and be around that culture.
So good.
Yeah.
It was so amazing. It was just like taking
I've only gone
in.
to New York once, and it was funny. So when me and RJ landed at the airport, we're waiting for a lift. We didn't even go in. We didn't even go nowhere yet, and I was like, "Hey, do you want to live here?" He's like,
"Hey."
He's like, "You ain't even seen nothing yet." I was like, "I don't know, something in this air."
That's it. I said the exact same thing.
Dude, yeah.
That first flight out that I went when to go to the school, and I got off the plane and I smelt the air, and I was like, I'm home.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah,
and then,
it was something.
It was crazy because then I was carrying a camera with me. We're riding, and like RJ initially wanted to take Lyfts and Ubers everywhere, and I was like, nah, bro, I want the full New York experience. Let's take the subway. And he's like, all right.
Yeah, it's all good till after like year 4 and you're standing there waiting for a bus and the snow is like hitting you sideways. You got like 12 layers on. You're like,
yeah.
nah.
So I mean, I got a sort of a New York experience. Like
That's
it was
cool.
fall, so it was warm in the day.
Fall's great.
It was warm in the day, hot as fuck in the subway. But you step outside after like 5 p.m. when that sun's blocked by all the buildings. It's like 20 degrees colder. Yeah. But so with your experience in freestyle, like now, like there's that term all styles.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? As an OG, like what are your thoughts on like all styles and like, because I mean like now it's like a thing where there's these all style battles, but there were always these battles, it seems like, especially from your perspective and like with how you were growing up as a dancer.
Yeah, I mean, all style, freestyle. I mean, I think it's great for the communities to be able to bring together
different styles
and different groups of folks. We're all in it, doing it for the same reasons for the most part. You know, like we all love it for some reason, one or another. And so I think it's great. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with it. I think I've been to some really great ones where it's just maybe 2 styles. Yeah. And had a blast.
So I always ponder this because then like some dancers think that when you enter an all styles battle that you have to have all styles, right?
No.
And then there'll be like these like 1 or 2 dancers that throw like every style in one round. Your face.
I don't have a good screen face. Oh my God. So this is my perspective or my thoughts. Again, with the freestyle aspect of it, which is what we're all doing within each of these styles. I mean, if you're battling in an all-style battle, I don't feel like, and if I'm judging, I particularly always watch this, like, if I'm watching someone and they're all of a sudden, like, clicking the channel, basically, in their dance. Okay, I'm doing this. Yeah. Now I'm going to do this.
Like,
and now
no smooth transition,
yo, you're saying too much. Like, breathe, like, just take a moment, listen to the music.
My first experiences with those battles, like, because I was only, just b-boy, my thing was, I just have to be able to dance my style to somebody else's style of music. And like I always felt it was that way because I feel like, especially for urban dance, we should be able to adapt to any type of music.
Absolutely. I've written a whole like paper on the idea of adaptation, actually.
Oh, sick.
About
was that just like something personal for you?
Yeah, I've put it out. I share it sometimes in workshops and stuff.
That's dope.
It's it talks about, you know, the idea of the breaking away from the look what I can do syndrome.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's all these styles in one set or, you know, just one style, just going balls to the wall and totally removed from the music versus also the idea of, a dancer being able to adapt, like a b-boy, not necessarily just dancing to breaks, but maybe classical, like you know, flying steps or like being able to venture out of your comfort zone
and still be able to move,
and still be able to move and still be able to enjoy it. You know, I think that's a huge part of it.
Yeah,
super huge.
So one thing that we as dancers, especially as we grow, we're given this opportunity to share our talents, but one thing we learn as we grow is the desire to give back. What are some things that you've given back to dance? Because obviously you've got some contributions.
Yeah, I try. I really
we all try.
I really try. I mean, whether it's event production, you know, like creating, just like within architecture, creating a space and a place for people to get together and get down. That's a huge part, you know. Doing the international work with all the live, you know, connecting and building, you know, I've done, I think, 5 trips for that, you know.
That's
like
that first
that
one for me,
is being able to just connect and reach with kids and folks that don't have access or don't have, you know, the ability to be connected with other people, you know, if they're fairly remote, you know, and you know, so I love doing that. I ain't got no kids, but I got kids all around the world.
Yeah.
You know, so like that.
They're saying tsunami somewhere.
You know, like I feel like that piece is a really big piece, important piece for me. And then, you know, just mentoring and trying to just be the example in here, like in our community or wherever, of just, you know, being professional, you know, like being respectful, you know, honoring people, you know, stuff like that. And
this is me honoring you just to have you featured on here, and I'm grateful that you're able to do this.
And I'm
share your
super
story.
appreciative.
I learned a lot about you. Like, did not know you did classical training.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I always thought you were always a freestyler just by how you dance. Like, it's sick. Now I like have a deeper like perspective on you. I'm like, oh shit. Somebody throw some classical music for her. Where'd that tutu come from?
I know. I got a compact one.
That would be some shit if I ever see you do that.
Oh man. Well, I did come as a wax swan one year.
When?
That one of the first whacking battles.
Okay.
Came out as the wax swan.
The wax.
Instead of the black swan, I was the wax swan.
Oh gosh.
But yeah. But yeah, and I went, the last thing, which I personally feel, just because like club culture is kind of my biggest focus in the last number of years, trying to document and you know, preserve what we have here in the Bay and just worldwide, like the importance of the club culture. And it's when those nights where I'm just like in it, just going off, and it's like I'm doing that for myself.
Yeah.
But then, like, someone will be just chilling, watching. Like, I don't know them. They could be just a civilian, non-dancer person or whatever. And, you know, like, someone coming up and being like, yo, I felt that. Thank you. Like, I needed that. You know, like, they were able to connect and feel
more than just, like, seeing your moves.
Watching the dance. You know, like, they felt something, and that shifted their whole outlook of their day.
Dang.
Or they were like, yo, I've had the worst day or worst week, and just watching you right now just made me feel so much better. Like, thank you. And like that gave me chills. Like, that feels it's not about me. It's the fact that I was able through my dance to impact someone.
Yeah, and like have them connect with
emotionally,
you.
Yeah, and like feel better. And I'm just like,
that's tight.
That's a win right there.
You were like, yeah, I was just dancing for myself.
And yeah, you know, it's just simple, and
that's tight.
So like those are like golden moments, I think.
So what is next for you in this dance life?
To keep going. You know, like it's is to stay active in the community, to stay active globally with the youth. You know, to keep putting on events. But mostly, I mean, the events are one thing, but really it's just to keep the spirit alive within the club culture.
Dope.
And to just be on that dance floor, sharing the light, sharing the love of the music, of the community, of the space, you know, all those things.
That's amazing.
I think that, to me, is like the route for me to keep going.
That's tight.
You know, and then I'm gonna be that old lady in the club. Just
You're probably watching some of these like news reports of like, you know, older people taking these dance classes and killing, and you're like, that's gonna be me in like 20
I'm gonna
years.
have a shirt that says Cypher Mom. Like,
that's tight. She over here giving, go smoke this motherfucker.
right? Go get him, baby. You get him. You tell him.
That's tight. Well, thank you for being a part of this project of mine.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Dude,
Really appreciate
yeah,
it.
that's tight that you were able to open and share your story.
Yeah,
Grateful.
Thank you.
Tight. We out.
Peace.